Alright, last question is number 6. A poll is taken of the leisure time activities of 90 students. 60 watch TV, 60 read, 70 go to the cinema. Now you might already be thinking, wait a second, surely that's more than 90 students. But of course some of them are doing 2 or maybe all 3 of these different leisure time activities. And then it goes on and tells me how many read TV, read and go to the cinema, how many watch TV and go to the cinema, how many read and go to the cinema, how many read and watch TV. So thankfully part A tells me to organize this information in a Venn diagram, which I think I would have done anyway. So we'll make that our circle of TV people, and this is our circle of reading people, and this is our circle of cinema people, and these are all inside a rectangle known as the universal set. Alright, now we need to fill in all of the numbers. Where do you begin? Do you remember? If you're thinking you start from the middle and work your way out, you are correct. Do we have the number of students who are inside this middle region? They watch TV and they read and they go to the cinema? Yes, it's right here. 26 students are in this region. Now we're going to go from the middle outwards. So let's move on to something which a student or a group of students who are involved in 2 of the activities, so that we can get these 3 regions as we go outwards. So I've got 20 students who watch TV and go to the cinema only. Now that is a key word. If that word did not appear, we would we would have a contradiction here. How could we have 20 students that that watch TV and go to the cinema when we've already got 26 such students? So the key here is that we've got 20 who watch TV and go to the cinema only. That must mean there's a total of 46 who go to the cinema and watch TV, but the ones who only do that and do not read, these are those 20. These are the 26 who do all 3 activities. Continuing, 18 students read and go to the cinema only. There they are. 10 students read and watch TV only. There we go. Now then, let's continue working our way outwards, and we can start filling in these 3 regions. These, of course, are the students who are in the television set, but they are not in the other set. They must watch television only. Now we have a total of 60 students who watch television. We've already used, if you sum these, 26 plus 10 plus 20, that's 56. We've already used 56 of them. If there's 60 students watching TV and 56 of them are here, that must leave the difference, 4, who watch only TV. Or who, I should say, who only watch TV. There are 60 students who read. I've used so far in the reading circle these 18 plus these 26, that's 44 so far, plus these 10, 54. But I'm supposed to have 60 students in there. That must mean that the difference, the remaining 6, only read. And lastly, I have 70 students who go to the cinema. I've already used 20 plus 26 plus 18 of them. That's a total of 64. In order to get up to the full 70 students, there must be 6 on the outside. And remember how we have a total of 90 students? Have we used all of them? Well, let's check. If we add all of these 7 numbers together, 4 plus 6 is 10, plus 10 is 20, plus 20 is 40, plus 26 is 66, plus 18 is 84, plus 6 is 90. Yeah, we did use all 90 of them, so there must be 0 students on the outside. All of them do at least one of these 3 activities. So now we can use this Venn diagram to answer these questions. How many students only watch TV? Well, it must be those 4. Only go to the cinema? Well, it must be those 6. Oops. And, well, we're done. That's the end of the last question. Now, before I turn off the video, I just want us to have a quick look at the mark scheme to those 6 questions so you can see how IB would have assessed them. So at number 1, there's the diagram. of x and y overlapping, and of course we know this is, we know this to be our U, our universal set, and you get 1 mark for such a diagram. And then you remember that we had 6 and 12 in there, that's worth a mark. You remember we had all of the other multiples of 2 inside this region, so there they are. And then we had all of the ones that are outside the union, the ones that we hadn't yet counted within x or y. We had those 5 numbers on the outside, and saw then that there were 5 such numbers. Now this is I think you probably get 1 mark maybe for having the 1, 5, 7, 11, and 13. It would also count if you had written them around on the edge of the diagram. And then the second mark is for realizing that we're looking for the number of those elements. So it's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 marks, looks like, on this question. Actually, I can just have a look at that and see. Yeah, 6 mark question. 1 on the first part for the Venn diagram, and then 3 for these. 1 mark for coming up with both of those elements. They must both be correct. And when you have an A2, that means that it cannot be split. So you could not get partial marks. You could not get 1 mark for coming up with some of these. If you could, then the mark scheme would say A1, A1, and would explain with a note in italics like this how you could get one of the A1s, how many of these 5 elements, let's say, you would need to have in order to qualify for partial credit. And then, of course, the second A1 mark would be for having all of them. But in this case, it's an A2, which does not split, and so unless they're all correct, then you don't get any marks in Part B II. Okay, this is number 2. It's 4 marks for coming up with the correct diagram. So here we go. 1 mark for the rectangle. 1 mark for putting F entirely within R. 1 mark for making F and P disjoint. And 1 mark for P successfully intersecting or overlapping with circle R. I think I put my purchasing subcommittee on the right-hand side of my diagram, but clearly that's just the mirror image of what we've got here. And it's 1 mark for each of the other parts of the questions, and I think these are the numbers we came up with too: 11, 74 to 77. 1 mark apiece. Number 3. So, well, that looks exactly how we filled in the table. It was a little bit like a Sudoku puzzle, wasn't it? We had to put in some, and then we were able to conclude that, other ones, and we just sort of gradually worked it out, and it didn't take us too long. And you'll notice that you get half a mark for each correct bold entry, because these are the ones that were blank. I think the other ones you wouldn't get any credit for, because they were probably, well, maybe they were given to you. Can't remember now. And then we would round up to, of course, a maximum of 3 marks, because there's only 6 half marks available. In Part B, we'll fill in the numbers. We'll get 1 mark for writing down the diagram with the 2 overlapping circles and the labeled circles and the labeled rectangle on the outside. And then a maximum of 1 mark for having all of these. We can get half a mark as long as 2 of them are there. It's unusual to see half marks, by the way, on IB mark schemes. So I guess, yeah, it says, and this must mean, well, I guess we round up. Yeah, I'm really surprised to see a half mark there without an instruction as to how you round, because IB normally does not deal with half marks, and I would not deal with half marks. I'll make sure it's very clear in my mark scheme whether I will be rounding up or rounding down if half marks were available. Alright, Part C, students who have computers or do not study Spanish. That's exactly what I wrote. But you'll notice that you would not get any marks if you wrote students who do have computers but do not study Spanish, because the word but is always equal to the word and. So be careful. You can use but when you're about to describe a second condition in an and situation. Alright, the number who are in circle C or outside outside circle S, we concluded that there was this 7 plus 8 plus this 14, a total of 29. We know that there are 4 students for, oh whoops, are we already down? Yes, we're already down in number 4 now? Number 5 already. So yeah, there were 4 students who take only mathematics, or only science. I'm sorry, I can't remember the question, but it was 4, we had only 4 who were on the outside. And we could describe that as students who study mathematics only, or I think I said something along those lines. You notice that part I was worth 2 marks. If you wrote down only the answer, you're fine as long as it's correct. If you showed some work, you can guarantee yourself a method mark and at least get 1 out of 2, even if you made a mistake. So always better to show your work and guarantee yourself part marks. Triple I, this is exactly what I did. 20 minus the sum of everything else, getting us 2. Again, we could get a method mark if we show our work. Even if we end up getting the wrong answer, we could get 1 out of 2. If all you do is write down the answer, it will have to be correct. It's an all or nothing deal, so you're taking a gamble by doing that. Here's the region of students who do not take science, but they do take history. So not in the S circle, but they are in the H circle. And the number of people who take science or history was the sum of all of the numbers in these 6 regions, and that gave us 14. Again, 1 mark for the method, 1 mark for the answer. If you write only the answer, you're gambling that you get it correct. If you do, you get full marks. The diagram was worth 1 mark on part B. And last problem, number 6. So 4 marks in part A. There's 1 mark for the Venn diagram drawn correctly, that is to say 3 overlapping circles and a rectangle around the outside. They did give us the T, R, and C abbreviations, so it's no problem if you labeled it like I did, just with those letters. And the other 3 marks are for having, what does that mean, for all 4 correct? Oh, I see, they're talking about these bold entries, because these 6, the 4, and the 6, they come later on in the problem, don't they? So as long as you've got your 10 in the overlap between read and TV, and you've got the 18 and the 20 in the other overlapping regions, then, and the 26 in the middle, so you'd get 3 marks if you had all 4 of these bold numbers correct. If only 3 of them are correct, you'd get 2 marks. If only 2 are correct, you would get 1 mark. And if you only got 1 of these 4 entries correct, you don't get any marks at all. Okay? And lastly, part B. So you've got 60 minus these 3. These are the ones who only watch TV. We can see there's 4 of them. And we'll take all of our cinema goers and we'll subtract the 18, the 26, and the 20 to find out that there's 6 people who, that's all they do as a leisure activity. They only go to the cinema. And I think that's it. And that gives, in number 6, a total, that's 4 marks in part B, yielding an 8-mark question. So I hope that you've stuck with us through the end of this video. I think it's helpful to see how IB assigns marks, so that if you did get a question wrong in your original attempt, you could actually mark yourself on that original attempt before you correct it. Maybe you can have done your corrections in a different color from your original attempts at the question, so you could give yourself a mark, an IB grade, based on going through the mark scheme that I just led you through, and see kind of how you did before you watched all the solutions and filled in some corrections.